Welcome to POL Classics. Be sure to check out the best of POL from over the years. It's at its most popular day and time, and guess what? It's only on WNEP+.
WNEP proudly presents the premier outdoor show in northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania Outdoor Life, your window to the great outdoors. Tonight on Pennsylvania Outdoor Life.
We'll watch as a fly rod is built from start to finish, and we'll get you ready for the turkey season.
The turkeys are talking. Pennsylvania Outdoor Life starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to Pennsylvania Outdoor Life. I'm Ken Hunter and I'm here with Don Jacobs. And Jake, I love these holidays. You know, the meals are great. You know what I like a lot about those meals? The pickled eggs at Easter time.
See, you're a pickled egg. I've OD'd today on kielbasa and horseradish.
I'm a pickled egg guy. I like the ham and everything else too. Don't get me wrong. I like it all.
Well, by the way, we're talking about Easter, right? I mean,
right.
All we're talking about is food, but I hope you had a great Easter.
Oh, great, and I hope you did as well.
Yeah, and of course, this is the time of year where the trout fishermen are still out there, only 1 week down. But most of the people that I know are turkey junkies. They can't wait for the next opening day, which is this Saturday coming up. And in fact, we got together with field staff member Dale Butler to ask him some of the most asked questions about the up-and-coming turkey season. Are the birds active at this point? I mean, we got 1 week before the season. Are you hearing birds gobble? Is the activity up where it should be?
Yeah, this is pretty normal. Actually, we're into the peak gobbling. They're looking for hens real hard this time of year. And I really do believe that each morning is different. You're going to hear a lot of gobbling activity some mornings and some mornings less, depending on the weather conditions and how many hens they have with them. He's right on it. Let's go.
What do you suggest our viewing audience think about this next week? Think about doing or getting ready for next Saturday?
Well, I think that if we get out early in the morning, that's the big thing. Get out there, listen for gobblers anywhere you can. But also, if you just take a drive around and look in the farmers' fields, especially in the areas you're going to hunt, you're going to see turkeys out there. It's late in the year, but it still gives you an opportunity to find turkeys. And if you're out early in the morning, you're going to hear turkeys gobbling, no doubt about it. It's that time of year. The spring season is here.
Did you hear that one? Let's go. We're going down. Next Saturday, is there anything you suggest people to do? Be aggressive, not aggressive? Give somebody a tip as to what they should do when they hear that bird gobble next Saturday morning.
Well, what I like to do, and I believe this is the case with most of the time when you're hunting turkeys, once you get a bird to gobble at your call, I really don't think you should call too much to him after that. The more you call to him, the more he'll gobble. If you want to hear birds gobble, keep calling to them. If you want to bring one in, stop calling after you've got him to respond.
And just every now and then let him know, or do you stop outright?
Oh, no. Every now and then. If 10, 15 minutes passes and you haven't heard a bird after you thought you had that bird moving towards you, yeah, I check on him, give him another call every now and then. But aggressive calling will make a bird gobble an awful lot. But a little bit held back on your calling, and you'll see that birds come in a lot faster.
Yelping good enough?
Oh, that's all you need to do. If you didn't learn anything else, if you didn't learn any other turkey call, if you just learn to yelp, that's all you really got to do.
Should people be concerned if they don't shoot one right off the bat next Saturday morning, or does it get better or worse as the month goes on?
Well, it doesn't really matter. As long as you get out there, the more often you're out there, persistence pays off. There's no doubt about it. The more often you're out there, the better your chances are of killing one. So if you go out the first day and don't see one or have any luck, the more you get out there, the more opportunity you have. And most certainly toward the end of May, gobbling activity still happens. So you're still going to stand a chance no matter what.
You know, and if you get back to the basics, like Dale said, nice, easy, soft yelping, maybe find them in the morning with an owl call. You know, a little crow calling. Stick with the basics. People think that this is a high-tech sport. It isn't.
Right.
Nice and easy. And you can't get any simpler than the calls that you use. Very simple, right? What are they?
Once I get out there, I'll usually start calling with a box call.
Right.
A lot of people use a box call. Of
Go
course,
ahead and make a noise on that one, Ken.
no, I have to unhook it here, but we can do that.
Okay. Sweet little hen sound
not
there.
bad. And then I'll switch over to a mouth call as I get the bird coming in. Obviously, we don't want a lot of movement, hand movement, and so on. So like most people, the mouth call after that.
I find that the hand movement, to me, distracts me totally. If I have to put a call, and then you're using a call like, you know, like a sleigh call, and I love this call, but I don't use it when I'm pretty sure that that bird is right on top of me. When it's far away, I'll use something like this, you know. But if that bird is coming, or I know that it's on a trail and it's heading towards me, I don't want any movement at all. So you put a mouth call in it and you just go yelp, 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 yelp a little bit. Nice and easy, nice and simple. Do you use decoys?
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. I do use some decoys, not all the time. I hunt the edges of the woods along the edge of the field. I think it's a good place for it. Safety is certainly something to consider. Decoy, you're asking for a little bit of trouble, so you want to make sure you're visible to another hunter. I would have the orange up on the tree for sure.
Band of orange,
certainly the band of orange. These are set out in the field somewhere where I don't think I'm going to be in the line of fire. Now, you don't use them, though.
I don't use them, but I hunt heavy woods most of the time with nice ledges and dips. So what I always do, and I learned this from Dale, I always set myself back away from the edge of the woods, edge of the dip there.
How far
about
back
20 yards,
about 20 yards
25 yards. So normally the person that's going to do the shooting is sitting there with the gun pointed at where he heard the gobble last. So when that bird comes up over the hill, bang, it's done. In the field, I could see where a gobbler's 80 yards out, and now it needs to see a bird. It heard a bird, but now it needs to see one, and that's where decoys are used. But that's pretty much why I don't use it.
Now, what gun are you using?
I am using, this is a custom gun. This has shot a lot of turkeys. It was made for me by Banzer Rifles. It's got camo, but again, it's getting pretty beaten up. And
Dale
I use a
Butler's
little
done some painting
yeah,
work
he's done
on
some
that for
painting
you.
work.
I see that.
It's a 12-gauge, 3-inch Magnums, and my favorite round is a 5. When they came out with the 5, I think that they patterned the best. Now, what are you using?
Now, I'm using an old 1100 Winchester, semi-automatic, and you know what? People say, why isn't that covered with camo? I haven't had the heart to put camo. I just don't want to tape that baby up, and it's killed about 15 turkeys, so I figure by the time they see it, it's too late. They're dead anyway.
You know, the real key, forget the camo issue, the real key is movement. Because I've shot fall turkeys dressed in orange, and as long as you don't move, so you can be head to toe in camo, and if you're doing this with your gun or doing one of these, that's the key.
I think the movement issue is very important.
Absolutely. 100 inches of orange when you're moving, and I really strongly recommend that you wrap something around a tree like this band.
I know people who've been shot in turkey season, some of them even with orange. You've got to be safety conscious.
Yes, and as a hunter, remember, don't shoot at anything at all unless you know exactly what it is. And in this season, it's got to be a bearded gobbler. It has to have a beard hanging down from its chest, and it usually is followed then by a bang.
That's right. And hopefully you go pick it up after the bang. That's the idea.
Good luck.
Same to you, Jake.
Absolutely.
I hope you get one the first day.
Well, I hope I call one in the first day anyhow. And we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going from turkeys to trout fishing, so stick around.
We'll have even more POL Classics on WNEP Plus right after this.
Welcome back to Pennsylvania Outdoor Life. Yes, that is a rainbow trout, and yes, the trout season is just 1 week into it.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, I've heard a lot of different stories. Water's too cold, not catching fish. Other people are hammering the trout. Regardless, you have to choose your weapon very, very carefully. And of course, we're talking a different weapon here.
Jake, I have in my hands an absolutely gorgeous custom-made fly rod. We're going to talk more about this later, but let me tell you how this thing was made. We're going to go to E. Hilly's Angler Supply in South Williamsport, where we watched this rod being made. All right, Greg, you're going to show us how to build one of these great rods we've been talking about. So you're the expert. You take it from here and tell us how it's done.
All right. Traditionally, when a customer comes in for a custom rod, they usually talk with Ted, and he will help them choose the proper blank for their type of fishing. This particular blank that we're going to look at and do a little work with today is a 7-foot 4-weight rod. So it's one that would be for a smaller to a medium-sized stream.
That's a graphite material?
This is a graphite material. 99% of the rods we build now are graphite.
Okay.
And the first step, basically, after choosing the blank, first thing that we want to do is the connectors on a rod are called the furls, and it's a male and a female part that slide together. Before we do that, we need to take some masking tape just to reinforce this furl and give it some hoop strength so that when the male side is inserted, it doesn't crack that blank. Once we have the female side of the furl wrapped, we can actually test fit the rod. Before that, you had a chance of maybe cracking that furl. But our next step then is to mark what's called the effective spine of the rod. The way we find that is use a little handy tool we've put together here, just some bearings and some wood, put the rod in there, turn it, and it'll actually kind of at some point snap to a point where it resists turning, and that's the effective spine. That's where the power of the rod is, where it resists bending. We're going to mark that with just a white china marker that can be wiped off later. But there's how we determine what part or what side of the rod the guides go on.
That will give us the most power.
That will give us the most power to produce a longer, more accurate cast. Okay, now that we've found the effective spine, the next step would be to attach the reel seat and the grip. To glue on the reel seat handle, we use a 2-part epoxy, and we'll just mix some of that up. You're going to use a lot of it, so we just lay out 2 nice big equal lines. And we'll just mix these together with a popsicle stick. The hole's too big in the reel seat for that rod blank to fit down in. So we're going to actually make some masking tape arbors, gluing arbors, so that it makes a nice firm bond. I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to mark where the end of that reel seat is. And we're going to build up some masking tape. That seems good. What we're going to do now is load up this area with the epoxy. Sometimes it actually works a little nicer if you let that epoxy sit to the point where it's beginning to get a little tacky. And we just keep turning it, sort of like
That's never going to come out of this.
Glass blower. No, sir. That's on there.
That'll ever come out of
on there for keeps.
Break it off.
And we keep spinning it as we insert it down into the reel seat, and that is in there for good at this point.
With the reel seat in place, Greg adds epoxy to the area where the handle will go, and he slides it into place. The rod is then set aside to dry.
This is our rod wrapping machine, and this is where we actually wrap the feet of the guides. Most guys say this is the hardest part of making a rod, is actually wrapping the guides. And it's not too difficult. There are just a few little tricks you need to know and some special tools that you need.
That tool just helps you space everything a little bit?
Right. It helps me pack those threads, move them a little bit on the rod as we're wrapping to get a nice smooth finish. Trim off our tag end. And there's another completed wrap. We teach classes. It's It's one night a week for 4 weeks. We teach them how to do everything from choosing the blank to applying the finish.
And there's a substantial cost savings to doing it that way.
Yes, there is. There's a great savings. Plus, you get that satisfaction of building your own rod, take it out there and catch a fish with a rod that you've built.
I think I might want to take one of these classes and build a rod.
All right.
Looks like a lot of fun to me.
It's a lot of fun, and there's always room for you, Ken.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Hey, we want to thank all the folks over at E. Hilly Anglers Supply House, Greg and Ted, the rod building people who are putting this rod together. This is the rod they built for us, and you know what? At the end of the show, we're going to give this rod away. I'm not going to say a lot about it right now, but at the end of the show, this beauty is going to be given away.
And what a gorgeous rod
I'd love to have this myself, Jake.
Absolutely.
This would be a prize in if I had it in my collection.
Absolutely. That information on how you can get in touch with E. Hilly will be on our website on Pennsylvania Outdoor Life. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to have people and places and a field tip, so stick around.
POL Classic, we'll have much more of it on WNEP Plus right after this.
Welcome back to Pennsylvania Outdoor Life. You know, Jake, just as the wild turkey is the sign of spring, we also have a lot of animals that are being born this time of year. A lot of them end up orphaned, both birds and furry animals.
And thank goodness for places like the Carbon County Environmental Education Center. And in fact, we're going to go right now to the Carbon County Environmental Education Center. We're going to hear from field staff member Susan Gallagher about what to do with an injured or orphaned bird.
As the warmer weather gets here and the snow begins to melt, we're going to be spending a lot more time outdoors. One of the things people sometimes come across are injured birds of prey. One of the best things you can do if you come across any animal that you think is injured or orphaned is to get in touch with your nearest wildlife rehabilitation center as soon as possible. If it turns out that the bird is injured and needs to be picked up, I'll give you a few safety tips for keeping the bird and yourself safe during the process. A lot of people, when they see these birds, first of all think that the beak is something to worry about, and these birds can bite. But the business end of the bird is at the other end, their feet. They've got 4 sharp talons, one at the end of each toe, that can do some serious damage grabbing onto your skin. Even if we're talking about something like our little educational saw-whet owl here, who was hit by a car down in Allentown and picked up by a member of the public, these talons can still hurt. Then when you get to the larger raptors, things like red-tailed hawks or great horned owls, you can imagine you've got to take some serious precautions with these. So what we recommend, and the way we handle and sometimes capture these birds, is to first of all get yourself a good heavy pair of leather gloves. These will protect your hands, protect your skin against the bird's beak and the bird's talons. One of the easiest ways to capture one of these birds without even having to touch it, put your gloves on, take a cardboard box that's just a little bit bigger than the bird itself, and place it over the bird. You can then slide another piece of cardboard underneath, tie or tape the whole thing up, and you never even had to touch the bird. Susan Gallagher, Carbon County Environmental Education Center, with this week's Tip of the Week.
Susan, thank you very much. And you know, we get those phone calls all the time.
Yes.
What do I do with that? What do I do with that? So there's a really good tip.
Fawn, deer, all the rest of it will be happening now.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, this is also the time of year when people are out looking for their trophies. All kinds of trophies. They've done it in the past, are doing it now.
Right.
Field staff member Mike Stevens is going to show us some of those photos of those great trophies.
We open this week's edition of Pennsylvania People and Places with Raymond Sharnick Jr. on the left and Raymond Sharnick Sr. on the right. They're both from Kingston. Raymond Sr. shot this nice pronghorn goat during the 3-day handicap season in New Mexico. Raymond Sr. says this was a dream come true and wouldn't have been possible without the hard work and dedication of his son. Congratulations, guys.
And our next photo comes to us from Lori Boyer of Milford. Here we see her son Shane and husband Jeff, and the snowshoe hare Jeff shot while hunting in Pike County. This was Jeff's first snowshoe hare. His wife tells us that he shot his second the following day while hunting with his cousin and friend from Bedford County.
Next we see Stephen Chrysler and the coyote he shot on the first day of the whitetail rifle season in Lackawanna County. Earlier in the day, Stephen harvested a deer, which attracted the coyote into the shooting range for him. This canine weighed in at 53 pounds.
Now, take a look at this next photo. Jeremiah Gaffney of Friedensburg, Schuylkill County, is seen here feeding the turkey buzzard, which decided to make a visit to the family home. The buzzard seemed to enjoy the smoked trout that Jeremiah was feeding it. The family couldn't believe that the bird returned 2 more times. Could you blame him? You don't find smoked trout in the wild.
No, I guess you don't. Finally, we see Dean Stratton of Waymart and the 58.5-pound beaver that he trapped in South Canaan Township in January. 2 days earlier, he trapped one that weighed 52.5 pounds in the same trap. Way to go, Dean. With this successful trapper, we'll close this week's edition of Pennsylvania People and Places.
You'll want to take your camera with you. We've got turkey season, we've got trout season.
We do.
We've got Jake gobbling over here. That's worth a picture right there.
You got that right.
But boy, we can get some great photos right now with these big old turkeys and big old fish.
Absolutely.
Take those cameras.
Take your camera with you.
We're going to go to a break. Stay here. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. Boy, are we excited about this moment, Jake. It is now time to give this gorgeous rod away. Now, this is the rod that was built for us by E. Hilly Angler Supply over in South Williamsport. And I just want to point out some of the features on this rod. First of all, look down here. It mentions here that it's made for WNEP. This is the only one of its kind. There'll never be another one probably like this. One-of-a-kind rod. What's really nice about this is on this side, they have embedded a grizzly hackle.
Oh, wait, we've got to see that.
Look at that, grizzly hackle.
Really
now, a grizzly
cool.
hackle to a fly tire is like gold.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, there's a nice little grizzly hackle embedded in there. This is an extremely well-made rod. It's a 9-foot rod, a 5-weight rod, ideal for Loyalsock, Lycoming, Muncie, over in this area, Lehigh River. This is a perfect mid-size rod. It'll work in small and large streams, medium streams. It's perfect.
Do the guys at E. Hilly say it will guarantee to catch fish?
Yeah, well, no, they don't do that.
Those are the kind of rods I need.
It has to be in the right hands, I think. But what a beauty. And with it comes this case.
Oh, great.
This is a $400 value, Jake, and they have asked us to give this away on the show. Whoever gets this is getting a real prize.
You hold that too, and let's roll this barrel out. Of course, this is an incredible giveaway for Pennsylvania Outdoor Life, and we have to thank E. Hilly of South Williamsport.
E. Hilly Angler Supply of South Williamsport.
They were in our expo. And
Ken and Sandy are the owners over there.
There is the winner for you.
And the lucky winner is Bob Urban of Dunmore. And Bob, I hope you're a fly fisherman.
Wow, what an incredible giveaway.
Yes, great trout outfit.
You've got to stick with us. The spring is just starting. We're obviously going to go out on a turkey hunt.
Yep.
You've done some trout fishing for the show already and some fly tying. We have an incredible trout research story that we're working on for you right now, trying to figure out what happens to the trout after they're stocked. So that's a great
some
little
streams
story.
they're not staying there. Other streams they stay.
And they got to
they're
figure
not.
out why, and they've got to figure out what they could do to keep it from happening.
Interesting. I'm anxious to find out the results of that study.
Enjoy the rest of your Easter.
Yes, everybody else have a nice holiday.
Absolutely. Right now, we're going to say for Pennsylvania Outdoor Life, that's it for this week. Please join us next week. For Don Jacobs and Ken Hunter.
So long.
So long.
Pennsylvania Outdoor Life is a local presentation of WNEP TV. We're proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania.
Thank you for joining us for a look back at POL Classics. Now I'm going to invite you to join us every Sunday night at 6:30 on WNEP+.